Welcome back to Dig the Game, and I am here in Planet Crafter again. You'll notice that my base is a little bit different than it was before, and I'm not sure what happened. I got on the game, came in, and went to load my game, and it was gone. And that was my my last save on the hardcore mode, so I have no idea what happened. So I've rebuilt everything, and I decided I wanted to make a top 10 tips and tricks video for Planet Crafter. So we're going to start with number one. Number one, fairly straightforward. Always keep food and water on you. And if you're in the earlier stages before you have breathable atmosphere, you're going to want to have an oxygen bottle or more than one. If you've watched my prior videos, you can see my wife always panicking when I don't carry an oxygen bottle or am about to run out of air. So that's always funny. Number two is rockets. Once you can build the launch platform, I think, is that what it's called? Once you can build the launch platform, you want to build this because it is going to give you a boost on your rates of everything. So if I go into here, it's going to give me 1,000% multiplier on heat. So you have your this one gives you uranium and it's a heat bonus. This one gives you iridium and it's a pressure bonus. The plant rocket, I do have an issue with this, and I will talk about this as my bonus area at the end of the video, but we'll discuss this later. But that gives you plants multiplier, oxygen multiplier for the seed spreader rocket. You can make the GPS satellites. It's going to allow you to see the map. Map information rocket. It's going to put points of interest. And then the insect rocket is the last one you'll unlock, and that's the insect multiplier. So I highly recommend rockets. I got stuck when I was first playing and trying to figure out how to get my terraformation to go up faster. And yeah, as soon as I launched the rockets, and I'm getting a lot of lag right now. I apologize for that. I have built a lot in this game, and so that on top of the fact that I just need to reboot my computer. We're going to move on to number 3. And the number 3 tip The number 3 tip that I'm going to say is these teleporters. These teleporters are amazing, and once you get the teleporters, you can start to design your production method. And I'll go over that later in the building areas, but just as an example, if I want to build my tier 5 heaters, I'm going to go into this teleporter and I'm going to go to the area where the heat is. So this is going to take me to the level that I'm currently working on, and so I build another floor and I put heaters down. But this specifically goes to my heat. If I want to increase my power supply, I go down to the power floor, which these are on the same tower, but I have them separated so I don't have to make the climb between these two areas. And so once I finish filling this floor with the fusion generators, then I'll build another floor on top and proceed from there. Tip number 4 is honey. Honey for food. This is a later unlock, so you won't get this for a little while, but once you do, once you get to the insect phase, you'll get this. And, you know, sometimes I don't want to use my extra bean. I'll just go into here and I'll chew up the honey. I'll go through all these and I'll just eat honey until my meter's full. This also leaves room for the bee larva. These will give you bee larva and honey. The tier 1s will not. On to tip number 5, we're going to talk about automation. So this is another thing that they've recently put into the game, and these are the auto crafters. This one's making bioplast nuggets. Now, the recipe for it says it needs mushrooms, silicone, and water. So to get those, I have this drilling for just silicone. These are the tier 3 ore extractors where you can specify which type of ore you want. And so that makes the auto crafting possible, in my opinion. Until you get these, I wouldn't bother with the auto crafters. The tier 3 extractors are definitely required. And then I have the planter over here growing the mushrooms in somewhere. I have yeah, there's my water collector. This only collects 4 water, but I don't use bioplast nuggets that much. This is a station with 4 different auto crafters, and they sort of feed off of each other. So we start with just bacteria. Bacteria can be used to make the mutagen. So this to make the mutagen is going to take a bacteria out of the bacteria autocrafter, mix it with methane and sulfur, and create that. Over here I have the two different fertilizers, which also feed off, because for this fertilizer it needs algae, eggplant, and sulfur, but for this fertilizer it needs the fertilizer algae, methane, and squash. So I have planters for the eggplant and squash. I have methane collectors. And a bonus tip for automation is that for a lot of these that use methane, you want to go into these and you want to clear out the oxygen canisters. I mean, if you're still needing to use oxygen at this point, I mean, it's a great way to collect it. But once this gets gummed up with oxygen collectors, I can't make any more methane, and it shuts down that production. And just to show you the automation on steroids, I am going to show you my ore store. I have osmium rods being made. I have two sections for osmium rods to be made. Then down here I have my pulsar quartz areas. These will generate those. At the very end I have super alloy. Over here I have another super alloy. You can see my heat tower all the way from back here. And then there's also the rainforest. That's the rainforest tower. And I'll show you that area here in a moment. But we have super alloy here. Oh my gosh, the lag is killing me. I gotta reboot. Super alloy. Another super alloy. So this whole area here is really for power and pressure. When I want to make pressure drills, I can go into here. I can grab one stack of those. And then I'll go in and grab out 2 full stacks of super alloy rods. So once I do that, I can take it over here, go to my drilling fields, where I've built a couple of drills. I'll show you the total number too at the end of the video. So we're going to head back to the ore store now. And I want to show the other automation wing. So that front end, over here on the side, I do have rocket engines being made. So I never have to worry about creating those anymore. But in the back, so pressure on this side, heat on this side. So I can easily go down here. Now this requires 3 to make 1 tier 5 heater. So I need 9 if I want to make 3 heaters. So I'll grab the stack, wait for 1 more to pop in, and then go to the next autocrafter. Here I have the rods, grab the stack, wait for 1 to populate. Got it. And then over here is the super alloy that I just used for the heaters. And in the time it takes me to clear out both of these wings and build the heaters, the one that I start with has already respawned all of its resource. So I basically can just make heaters non-stop if I want. I could add endless floors to this thing and just keep building heaters, and I never have to worry about running out. And I sort of have it down where I try to get them spaced pretty similar. That's why the tower looks so even from a distance, because I get them spaced right in a straight line. They're too wide, but I can't remember how many long is. I think it's I can't remember how many long it is, but it goes a ways. Like when I'm at the end here, I can't even see the heaters I build when I start. So yeah, I can't even see the heaters. So that covers automation and what I've been using it for. The next thing I want to talk about, and I can talk about it while I'm here, is F4. For my computer, the unstuck key is F4. So let's say I wanted to build another floor. So I have a little extra supply depot down here. It's just for super alloy when I'm making power or for iron. So I just grabbed a whole bunch of iron. And if I go to my power floor, I can already tell that I'm getting close. Still got a little ways to go, but I could probably start thinking about making another floor for power. So the power floor runs out from here, and you only need a gap of 1. That's why the heaters are so much taller than the power floor, because I can fit a lot more. So I would start building this, but I find it easier to build down like this and sort of walk the path. So how do I get from here to here? I could build stairs, or I can use my F4 key, the unstuck key. Now I'm up on this level and I can build. I could even sort of cheese it and just go all the way up to the top of my tower. So I'm missing a block here. That kind of stuff bothers me. So I want to fix it. How do I fix it? F4 my way up there. Is there a so the larva will get in your way constantly. It's also happening when I'm launching rockets, that the larva will get in the way of the rocket and it'll cause the rocket to go all cattywampus on takeoff. But there, I fixed that, but I can't reach this one now. So what I'll do is I'll create a little level out here and I'll cheese right through it. Well, sorry, cheese right through it. Now I'm on top, and then I can put in the 1 block here. And now that message, I don't have to freak out because I do have a water bottle on me. So if I really needed to, I could use it. But I'm going to finish building out this floor, and then we will go to tip number 7. So tip number 7, this is all the iron I had to make this floor right now, but tip number 7 actually uses this method. If you get to the larva stage and you're trying to collect more of specific types of larvae, it can be a pain. If you're just running around on the ground trying to randomly find them, but if I make something like this giant floor where I put my heat at, if I spend enough time up here, they're going to keep spawning. And I can see them from far away what types they are. If you're just running around on the ground, it makes it really hard to find them. But if they spawn up here on something flat like this, it makes it super easy. So I've been able to easily fill up my larva stuff. Like there's one right there, there's an uncommon. And if I just kept, just slowly walking along, they would just keep spawning on this. So it makes it a lot easier to see them. That's just my opinion. You can still hunt them on the ground, but if you build a flat structure like this, they're going to be so easy to see and pick up just tons of them. So you can see I've actually got it sorted out. I have silkworms, I have the rare, which I needed one, sweet. Common, and then these are like the butterfly larvas that I've created. I have not put these in a box yet. I think I've got all of them. And I just keep getting duplicates that I'll put out in the rainforest area. And I'll show you that too. On to tip number 8, and we're going to do some teleporting around. Actually, no, I'm not going to teleport around. I already showed the heat area. We're going to go to the rain top. So the rain top is actually my rainforest location, but instead of having to climb all these floors to get up here, I just put a teleporter on the top. So this is going to allow me to show you the locations of the map. So right over here at this water area, typically most people are going to spawn in that area. This is one of the small ships you can go to. Then you have the big crash that's up over here. You have the desert crash over here. You have the Stargate over here. Over in this dark area is another little bunker base area. Then over here you can just see the edge of the crater. This is where the waterfall actually is. You just can't see it because we're too far out of render. But this is like the Sulfur Valley, the Iridium area, the Super Alloy Cave. And then back over here, I believe. I could be mistaken. I know it's up over by this ledge. You could see one of my buildings down here. But back over here is another ship that was added fairly recently. It's just a good place to collect the resources. But for building areas, I find that this area out here, I mean, it really has nothing. So I'm using this to just throw the trees down, tier 2 beehives, butterfly farms. So I just called it the rainforest. Over here you can actually see from a top down the automation area that I showed earlier for all those autocrafters and the heat, pressure, and rockets. This is the drilling fields area. So I put that over behind the Stargate, where I'm just filling as far as I can go on the map back, and then I'm just making row after row after row, and I'll keep going, and I'll extend that out pretty far. And then we can't see it. On occasion, I can actually see the plume from the heat area, but I just decided to build the heat and power over by my base location. Before, I had them in two separate locations. Right over here, like right back in this area, is a uranium cave. And before I lost my prior game, I actually had a power tower there where I had put just tons of power resources in a building format. And then in this Sulphur Valley, right here next to this wall, I built a huge heat valley. That's what I called it. I decided just to combine those two. It's less teleporters and it makes it a lot easier. Moving on to my next tip, and that is going to be the golden chests. I had made a video earlier. There's a little bit of a follow-up on it, but as you go through the world, as you go through the game, you will end up finding gold chests. Now, the gold chests are awesome because they have great resources. But this tip isn't to show you where those are at. I already covered that in a video. But what I would want to say is make sure that you're not collecting them unless you really need some kind of bonus resource until later in the game. The loot in the chests that you find around the world, including the gold chest, scales to your terraformation level. So if I go looting all the gold chests and right after I start the game, I mean, you probably won't be able to get to some, but it's going to limit what I get out of those. So just a little tip that if you're going to start getting the gold chests, I would recommend waiting until you get a little further in the game where you might get rods and pulsar quartz, because until you unlock pulsar quartz crafting, you're going to be sort of running on a limited power base. I'll show you too. If we go down the power tower here, you can see where the floor transitions. I had to start the power tower using these uranium reactors, or nuclear reactors. They create a decent amount of energy, 331.5, but these create 1485. It's just infinitely better. So the last item really isn't a tip. I guess maybe. I'm just going to say that there's one resource in this game, and this is going to segue into my bonus section, but there's a specific type of seed. That is the Lirma seed, or Lirma plant. I only have 3 left, and I'm keeping these 3 just in case I needed to build another biodome. I believe the biodome uses it. Plant rocket, I should say, is going to use 1 Lirma. So we're going to look at the number of rockets I have in orbit right now, and you'll see where that is offset at. So I have 52 seed spreader rockets, 54 heat rockets, 54 pressure rockets, 25 plant rockets, and 44 insect rockets. So I have a lot of rockets, but I cannot boost my plants more than 3 more times. So I could max this out at 28, unless I deconstructed my biodome, which I won't do. So I find that maybe if I went out going through all the bases again and looting, but I did, and I went and grabbed as many as I could. So Lirma Seeds, I would say, treat them as a very valuable resource. They don't seem to be renewable, and then that's what's going to segue me over to my last bonus of the video, and that is 2 things that I think would make this game 2 features in this game that I think would make things infinitely better. The first being an algae collector. So you'll notice on this automation station, I have 2 boxes called algae, because these won't grab the algae out there. I thought about trying to build this out on like a little platform on the water, but the issue with that is I need the extractors to get the stuff. So to make the algae, it requires the water and algae. So I could probably make bacteria fairly easy with a little water station. But if you look at how the algae grows, it spreads out. It doesn't clump in a specific area. Some of these spread way out, some of them clump up in an area. So it's really tough to automate algae. So what I was thinking, a really cool feature would be to add like an algae collector that you could put on a water source like this, right next to the water, and it would sweep an area, like a large area, and just automatically grab algae. Then these would be in range of that, and I wouldn't have to constantly pull algae out of the water and keep refilling these bins. It's not terrible, but it is a bit cumbersome. Another feature that would be cool is if you could add an option to have the gas extractor either pull oxygen or methane, or you could select one, the other, or both. That way I don't have to keep going through these and cleaning out the oxygen canisters, especially when I don't need them for anything now. Especially back at the ore store for the pulsar quartz. I had to clean those out, and there's 8 of them. So just another thing. And the last thing is Lirma Seeds. I really think that they need to add a DNA sequence to make Lirma Seeds. If I go up here, I can see all the different trees, but I think they should have another layer for seeds. Like, let us use like different larvas and tier 2 mutagen and like tree bark and make a certain seed. I don't know. It would be nice if I wasn't limited on the number of plant seeds that I can, Lirma plants that I can get, or other plants. There is one unlimited tree resource that you can get that you don't need a seed for, and that's over here in the DNA manipulator. If I go over here, the Sheerox seed, and that just uses mutagen, bark, and tier 2 mutagen. So these are resources I can create so I can make an endless amount of these trees. Last but not least, let's see what our systems look like right now. Again, I apologize for the lag. I didn't think it was going to be this bad, or I would have rebooted before the video, but I'll make sure I do in the future. I am really working hard to get to this fish stage. Why am I having such a tough time with words today? So I'm at 34%. And what I did is I actually did a timer to see, and even at the rate that I'm advancing, it still looks like it's going to be like 1.5 days of playtime. So we're looking at, 36 hours of playtime to get to the fish stage. So as I advance, that number keeps trimming down, and what I'll do is I'll take the time. Right now I think I'm at 22 seconds for each percentage point. So I take that 22 seconds, I multiply it by 100 to know how many it takes me to go from 34 to 35. Then I multiply that again by the number of percents that I need. So in this case, I would just say 66 because I'm at 34. Then I would divide it by 60 to get the minutes, divide it by 60 to get the hours, and then divide that by 24 to know how many days total I'm looking at before I'm at the fish stage. What I'm assuming is that they haven't developed it yet, and that I'll get to the fish stage and nothing's really going to happen. But animals is on the chart, so it is a possibility that maybe something unlocks here. I don't think so, but I'm trying to get there as soon as I can so we can tell. Now let's check and see what I have had to do to get it to that level. You already saw the number of rockets, but now let's look. I have 831 tier 5 drills, 457 tier 5 heaters, 80 tier 3 tree spreaders. I have 34 biodomes, 26 beehives. I can increase this because this actually gives more plants than insects. So that's a good way to boost up my plants a little bit more. But yeah, so I think that's the next thing I'm going to focus on. Try to get that one to 80 as well, like the tree spreaders. That's a lot. The number of drills and heaters, but with my automation, I can just sort of infinitely create boosting that, and I want to get this to 1,000. Once I have 1,000 drills, then I'm going to try to get to like 1,000 heaters. But I'm a little worried about the real estate, just because if we go look at that heat tower, I'm getting up there. Now, I used my rainforest area. I can't see the tower actually. I used that rainforest tower just to see where the ceiling was at, and I still have a lot higher I can go. I still haven't found the ceiling to the world yet, to like a point where it won't let you build any further. I don't know if there is one. I would assume that they'd have to put something in, but I haven't found it yet. If I do, I'll make a note of that in a future video. But that's all I got for you today. This was my top 10 tips and tricks with a little bit of bonus stuff in there added on. Right now we're building up a pretty good base. We're at about 2,500, well, approaching 2,500 users. So I'm really thankful for everyone that's stopped and checked out the channel and supported. Leaving a like always helps the channel. At least that's what I'm told by the YouTube community. So if you can, leave a like on the video and help out the channel. And if you have ideas for content, please let me know. I will announce too, since this is a shorter video, that I do have some content coming up soon. December 2nd is the release of Callisto Protocol, and I will be playing that game. I am super excited. I'm a huge nerd about Dead Space. It was one of the first games that I played that really unlocked the power of the Xbox 360 when I played it on that, so that dates me a bit. But I just loved the game. I maxed the achievements in it. So Callisto Protocol, very much like that game. And speaking of Dead Space, on January 27th, which is 2 days after my birthday, we have the remake of Dead Space coming out. So it's a remaster, and from what I can tell of the gameplay I've seen so far, it looks incredible. I'm really excited to play that, experience the first Dead Space game again. We have other games that are coming out next year. We have Sons of the Forest. We have Ark 2. Anybody that's followed this channel for a while knows I started the channel back in 2020 playing Ark, and it was rough. I was still learning how to do it, but yeah, I mean, just a lot of really cool games, a lot of new early access stuff coming, so stay tuned for more games. And yeah, again, let me know if there's something you want to see us play, something you just want to see somebody play for background while you're gaming away. So anyway, take care, stay safe everybody, and we will see you on the next Dig the Game. F4, 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 F4. You see why I built the teleporters.